Guys, we got more data mine cards to review, give a rating to. Check them out. I got 12 more. There's even more after that. We're going to have more videos about this because it's awesome because of snap.fan. Go check them out. They're the ones doing all the hard work, providing these data mine cards for us so that we can enjoy them, foreshadow the future of Marvel Snap. It's fantastic. And then you can even go on the website, upload your own profile, and you can track your win rates with cards, decks. It's fantastic. It's what you always wanted. So go check them out. And in this batch of cards, guys, there might be, now it's a big maybe, I don't know for sure, right? But there might be a new keyword that might be introduced to Marvel Snap later. I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts about it, so comment below what you think. If it is, we're going to get to it. So be patient. We'll get there. But right now, we're starting with Miles Morales, Spider-Man. So he is a 4/5, and he is, if a card moved last turn, this costs 0. I think this is great. You throw him in a move deck, he's a free 5 power. 0, 5 power, right? Like that to me is just really, really good. But on top of that, if you play a move deck with hand buffs, because that's pretty good with like say multiple man, right? Or there's a few others, but it never hurts to like buff your Nightcrawler, right? Or you buff this Spider-Man, and then all of a sudden you have a free 7 power, a free 8 power, whatever it is, it's free. Because in the move deck, you're just moving things around. And then on top of that, if you're able to throw in like a Moon Girl and you duplicate this, that could be a huge, huge turn 6 play with like 2 free Spider-Mans if you just move something on 5 and then play them on 6 as well as your 6 drop like Heimdall or whatever you need to play. So I think he's a really good card. I'm giving him 4 stars. He's not a lot of power for his cost though. That's where it might be a bit of a hindrance if you don't get the move at the right time. But a few things have to align here, but I think more often than not it'll work out and you can build a deck around it easily. So cool card. Okay, then we got Mirage, a 4/5, 2 stars. I want to like Mirage. This ability is really cool. As you play this, disguise it as Mr. Fantastic. After the final turn, reveal it. That's pretty neat. But the problem is, Mr. Fantastic is a 3-cost card. Mirage is a 4-cost card. So it's going to be pretty telegraphed on which is which. And you're probably thinking, well, Drew, you could still play Mr. Fantastic on turn 4, 5, 6. Yes, you definitely can. But if this card existed alongside Mr. Fantastic, I think people would just start to anticipate, okay, if they play it on the later turns, I'm just going to consider it Mirage. If they don't, it's Mr. Fantastic. And the payoff isn't great because this isn't a discard combination, destroy. There's no synergy here really. It's at the end when the final turn is revealed. It is a 4-cost 5 power. The benefit, the reason it's 2 stars and not 1, is because Mr. Fantastic gives 2 power to each location. So you can imagine you play Mirage down the middle. That's going to make your opponent think, oh no, I need to put cards on the left and the right to compensate for this bonus power that Mr. Fantastic is distributing. When in reality, you're just stacking down the middle. You're overloading the middle and putting your power there. So in that sense, it's kind of nice. But really, when I look at this, I just see a 4/5 with a bit of a gimmick. Cool card, though. I like the idea. Good idea. Okay, let's move on to Miss Marvel. So Miss Marvel is a 3-cost 4 power. Ongoing, if this is your only card here, adjacent locations have +5 power. Okay, real quick, if you pull this off, that's 14 power for a 3-cost. That's insane. That's next level broken. The reason she's not 5, it's simple. People play a lot of stuff. Two reasons, really. 2 reasons, okay. People play like Green Goblin, Hobgoblin, Squirrels, Vipering things over. Locations end up playing things at your side that maybe you didn't really want. There's a lot of movement. All of a sudden, the Bifrost moves things over. It gets awkward. So there's a lot of just unforeseen things that are going to come in your way and end up interrupting your only location, right? And the other thing is, you play this and you want to get the benefit, you're abandoning that location entirely. You're relying on that 4 power from Miss Marvel, and that's it. That might not be enough. Not to mention, if you wanted to like stack the ongoing ability or anything like that, you can't. You can't really play cards here to help. You could Spectrum off and then help it, but ultimately it's pretty well on its own, not powerful enough. So that location is dust, and you're going to have to hope the +5 is going to help. But I think it will. That is a crazy amount of power. That's like Doom, Dr. Doom, except not needing the Doom bots. Which, yeah, you don't get the Patriot benefit, but like a free location space. Space is so valuable in Marvel Snap. So I think this is a nutty card. I give it 4 stars for those two reasons alone, but I could very, very well see this being a 5-star card, or at least needing to cost more. Because when you compare this to Namor, who also has a similar ability to this, it just blows Namor out of the water, and he's she costs 1 less. You like that? Blow it out of the water? Pretty good, huh? All right, let's. Now we got Modok. Look at this guy. Is this not the happiest little chonky boy you ever did see? I love Modok. And his ability's great, and it's super simple. On reveal, discard your hand. Perfect. Even better, you're a 5-drop. Even better than that, you're 8 power. So you're pretty good stats. If you compare that to like A-Bomb, like so vanilla stat line, but pretty solid. You have discard synergy, you have on reveal synergy, and I don't have to wait till turn 6 to play you. So you set up perfectly for my APOC, my Hela, whatever it might be, you're set up for it. And you get rid of everything in your hand. And if it's like Swarm, then you get the benefit of discarding the Swarm. The APOC, like I mentioned. And I'm sure there's going to be a much more cards that I'm probably missing or going to be out of the game that are going to have discard synergy. And this is your guy to put in. He fills the 5-drop slot perfectly. So Modok gets 5 stars. And he's too happy. Negasonic Teenage Warhead. 3 stars. So when any card is played here, destroy this card and that card. 3 cost 2 power. Very cool card. Could be broken because it's not about winning that location or losing Negasonic. That doesn't really matter. You can lose her. That's cool. Doesn't really matter. It's interrupting your opponent from whatever they have to play. Remember, we only have 12 cards in Marvel Snap, so guaranteeing one's going to be destroyed, unless they're running a destroy deck and they play Bucky Barnes there, like, it's going to suck. If I'm playing an ongoing deck or whatever, and I play a card there, it's probably going to be valuable to me, and then it gets destroyed. That's awful. And then on top of that, if you're running this card in a destroyed deck for your own, that's triggering death twice, right? Destroying your opponent's card and this one as well. And I'm sure just a bunch of other things. So it's just like good in destroy decks, and it's also interruption, and it doesn't cost too much for it to be not viable. Like a 3/2 stat line is pretty solid. So I really like this card. I think it's pretty awesome. But I'm going to give it 3 stars. Mostly just because your opponent has control on when this gets destroyed and how they want to go about it. They could completely just abandon it there and be like, okay, fine, you can have that location. I'm not going to give you that destroy trigger. And then that might interrupt your entire plan. And you can't do anything about it. There's nothing that destroys 3 costs on their own anyways. So, 3 stars. Okay, then we got Nebula. So Nebula is an on reveal. If your opponent played a card here, you get double power and put this back to your hand. So it's a Guardians of the Galaxy card. She's like one of the latest ones of the Guardians of the Galaxy, sisters to Gamora. But I don't think this is very good. Here's the comparison. 2 cards. 1, Rocket Raccoon. Rocket Raccoon is the same effect, but he is guaranteed on just 1 hit to get to 4 power because he's a 1/2 who gets +2. So he's a 1/4. And all you have to do is guess once correctly. Pretty good. Nebula, if we want to compare him directly, Nebula would have to trigger 3 times to get more power than Rocket. Rough. It's hard to guess the Guardians of the Galaxy characters. I should know. I have a full video on it that took me forever to complete the challenge that I set out. Anyways. Another card we can compare it to is Deadpool. Deadpool doubles his power every time he's destroyed and he goes back to your hand. So you throw him out, he gets destroyed, you come back, but destroy. But I would wager it's easier to destroy things because you probably built your deck around it and it's your opportunity to destroy things. You're not relying on your opponent playing card. Because ultimately with Nebula, if your opponent doesn't play a card, you don't get the power benefit. If you miss, you don't get the power benefit. So there's just too much downside, and I think that's a big reason why the Guardians characters don't end up making meta decks. Yes, a Guardians of the Galaxy deck can work, but it's not consistent because you're relying on too much from your opponent. 2 stars. Nick Fury. So he's a 5 cost 7. On reveal, add 3 random 6 cost cards to your hand. That's pretty interesting because he's a 5. So it guarantees on turn 6 you have 3 options to choose from on what you want to play. But those could be trash, trash, and trash because it's random. So that's not very good. And anytime I see random effect, I think it's bad. Now you could argue that there's a pretty good hand buff, hand sizing. They used to call it hand lock in Hearthstone, right? So when you have a lot of cards in your hand, it buffs your cards. So we have that, like with the Devil Dino or the Collector, like pulling cards back. So there could be that utility there. But ultimately, it's just too random for me. I gotta give him 2 stars. It falls in line with the Agent 13. The one we looked at the other day, I think it was Agent Coulson, who also does a similar effect to this. I just can't get behind it, but it's neat. I would like to see these cards in there because maybe there's going to be a future archetype that works with just having random cards. Orca. So Orca's another one of those cards where if he's by himself, he's going to get a bonus. But this time, he's a 6 cost, which is really interesting because you have a lot of say on if there's going to be nothing at that location on turn 6. There's very few cards that you're playing that will give your opponent's cards late in the game. Like turn 6, you're not really hobgobbling. Playing Hobgoblin, right? So I think Orca is actually a pretty safe bet for that style of deck. But the other problem would be if things have already been distributed to each of your lanes, then he's only going to be a 6/9 because his ability is ongoing +5 power if this is your only card here. So in a good world, in the positive, it works out. He's a 6/14. You can play him not really anywhere you want, but the location that doesn't have any cards. Or he ends up just being a 6/9, which absolutely gets wrecked by like America Chavez, for instance. And then why run Orca when you could run Giganto, who you could just play on the left? Or other things like Magneto even, not as much power, but has a positive effect or one that you can have control over. So I don't know. I don't think it's that good, but it is a big card. It could be 14 power at a location. You could set up for it. It has ongoing tag, synergy there. So I'm giving it 3 stars. Okay, guys. Okay. The moment you've all been waiting for. It has arrived. Phoenix Force. On reveal, revive one of your destroyed cards with +5 power. If it's Jean Grey, +10 power. Now, it might be a stretch, but revive could be a new keyword. I could see it working as a keyword. And here's the reason why. In Marvel Snap, there's a destroy pool and a discard pool. These are tracked keywords. When you click the profile of either you or your opponent, it's a tracked number. In the discard pool, if you discard a card and then you somehow manage to summon it again with like Hela or something like that, you can't actually do that twice. It goes into the pool and then it leaves the pool by coming back. It's not like a duplicate that you can copy from. And I think there's a similar effect with Destroyed. And maybe Revive would pull those specific cards back. It's a bit of a stretch, but this really stood out to me as it could be a keyword. And I think you could have a lot of cool synergy with Destroyed cards. Yes, it would require direct synergy. You know, discard does its own thing, move does its own thing. Destroy and revive would really have to play with one another at all times. So in that sense, I could see them not making it a keyword. But at the same time, this card just makes it seem like it could be a possibility. So I thought maybe it could be. Maybe it's not, though. Let me know if you think it might be a keyword in the comments below. And if not, maybe a keyword that you want to be in Marvel Snap. I'd love to hear it. In terms of the card, though, I think it's pretty good. Because you can control on what you destroy. You could run... I don't know, even like Killmonger or Deathlock. Let's say Deathlock. That's a great card. So you Deathlock, you play a card that you really want to revive later on. You Deathlock it, and then you wait until turn 6 and you play Phoenix Force. And I don't know what the synergistic card would be that you revive, but getting that +5 power on it might be really well worth it doing that combination. So I think it's pretty good. And then if it is Jean Grey, for whatever reason they had to add it because it's Phoenix Force, Jean Grey, pretty cool. You're going to get +10 power, and that becomes a 13 power card that you're reviving. And then the 3 power on top of Phoenix Force, so that's a 16 power play. And in my interpretation of Revive is that it would come back to the same location where it was destroyed, which is another unique feature of this possible keyword, right? Because normally things are played randomly, like a discarded card and Hela plays them randomly, something like that. No, it comes back to the same spot. I imagine on top of this that the revive keyword, right? A card wouldn't be able to be revived if you've played cards on that location and filled it up. So let's say the same location I had where the card got destroyed, I now have 4 cards there. I can't revive there anymore. Maybe the trigger will go off, but the card won't reappear or push something out of the way, right? That's how I imagine it. Seems pretty cool. I'd like to see more stuff like this, but only time will tell because these are data mine cards and they might not ever make it to Snap. All right, next one we got Red Guardian. So on reveal, you must play a card here next turn. I don't like that my own cards are forcing me to do things, and I especially don't like that it's telegraphed for my opponent. It's almost like daredeviling yourself. So yeah, I don't know when you'd want to play this, but it's probably not going to work out. And at the end of the day, it's only 6 power, and you don't want to unreveal synergize with this. So we have cards like Black Cat. Like, she's run because her downside is that she gets discarded, which we know discard is usually a benefit. Whereas this is just straight up, you're locked to a location. You're going to play there telegraphed, and can't play anything at the other locations. So they might be just like, oh, cool, so you Red Guardian there, and let's say you did it on turn 4. Well, I'm just going to Professor X over here and just win the location. Whoops. Retreat. Like, I don't know. Don't like it. 2 stars. Shadow King. Shadow King is a 6 cost, 4 power. His on reveal is destroy all other cards that have 2 or less power. Pretty cool. I really like it. The problem I have with Shadow King is that even if people are playing a flood deck where they're playing a lot of 1-drops that have 2 power, they're very often buffed with like Kazar, Blue Marvel, anything like that, Cerebro, right? So very rarely do those stick around or make a big enough impact for later on. Usually those numbers just get inflated and buffed. Now, I hear you. There could be things like Hazmat to debuff your opponent's cards. Pretty much anything else. Maybe you even want to destroy Synergy because you can destroy your Bucky Barnes, right? Stuff like that. Nova is another example. It's good for destroying Nova because it's destroying all cards, and then you destroy 1 or 2 on your opponent's side. You destroy your Nova and your Bucky, and it buffs things. So that's why I gave it 3 stars, because there is that potential. But it's hit or miss. You probably won't get that much of a benefit from destroying your opponent's things. So why not just run Destroyer if you plan on destroying your own things? That's what I was thinking. 3 stars for that guy. And lastly, we got Shanna, the She-Devil. She looks really cool, and I love how the text is made like that. But she gets 1 star because she is a 3 for 4, and she is when you discard a card from your hand, move this to a random location. In my opinion, that's a bad effect. That's a negative effect for a 3-4 bad stat line, vanilla stat line that's not very exciting. Bad effect because it goes to a random location, which could actually screw you if you're not careful. And discard and move don't really work well together. You don't really run a discard move deck. So you're not really getting benefit from the move. It's going to a random location, which might hurt you. And it's only when you discard it from your hand. So I guess it's free, right? I guess that's the benefit. It's basically like the Wolverine. But we know Wolverine doesn't do very well. And then she can't even be destroyed. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. It just doesn't seem that good. I'm assuming it's when you discard her from your hand anyways. But it's whenever you discard a hand, so she just keeps running around. She's just bouncing all over the map and like ruining your strategy. So I'm giving her 1 star. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about all these. I have no idea. Maybe revive won't be a keyword. Probably not. But let me know. Let me know. And while you're at it, snap the subscribe button for more videos and content, because I'm coming at you. I'm around to stay. I'm having too much fun with this. Marvel Snap's fantastic. Get into the beta, if you can. But there's ways to do it. Just look it up and start snapping. So I'll catch you guys next time.